Greetings, citizens of the internet, or whatever the hell this is. My name is Lori Lightfoot, and I have commandeered this channel to let you know that I completely disapprove of the content that is on this platform. And I hope that you agree with me, so that if you do, make sure that you are not supporting this channel by going to patreon.com/Chicago Corner. Whatever you do, avoid this channel's Patreon at all costs.
You are watching the Tuesday night edition of Chicago Corner. Woo!
Hello, and welcome to Taco Tuesday. Who wants a taco? Yeah, I know. Taco, go crazy. All right, everyone, act normal. Perfect. Now, everybody say Taco Tuesday.
Oh my God! It's Taco Tuesday.
Did you order thousands of new jobs and a pepperoni?
Here's the problem I have. The first problem I have, Jerry. Pepperoni? Are you freaking kidding me? Chicago, Jerry, is an Italian sausage town.
You better believe it.
That's
what she said.
Damn it, and there are ants in my whiskey.
They add flavor, Kira. Is that
man,
like the worm in tequila?
Have you seen my whiskey ants anywhere?
That's okay. That's okay. The show will go on, everybody.
Hello. Happy Taco Tuesday to you all. My name is Ed Heller. I am a deep dish pizza enthusiast, but on Taco Tuesday, pardon me, I got some phlegm in my throat from Taco Tuesday because I had a burrito earlier. But welcome to Chicago Corner. I will bring in my cohort in stream crime, Jerry Vasilatos. Welcome, Jerry.
Happy Singles Awareness Day, Ed.
Happy Singles Awareness Day to you. We keep dodging that Cupid bastard, and I think somebody got him this week, if you guys saw the show thumbnail.
Yeah, it's funny you shared that because I actually shared that on my Facebook page earlier today, too, and as a service to everybody else.
Where do you think I got it from, Jerry?
Oh, is that where you pulled it from? Wow, great minds.
Yeah, I combined both your and my singles awareness posts for today. So welcome everybody in the live chat.
You'd think after 2.5 years of doing this, Ed, we'd have groupies by now, but I'm not seeing them to celebrate Valentine's Day with.
Well, I mean, that's fine. More chocolate for me. You get the half price chocolate tomorrow. You guys know that, right?
That's true.
That's how this works. Is it because if less people celebrate Valentine's Day today, then there's more chocolate half price tomorrow.
Yeah.
See,
it's a bonus for us tomorrow when everything goes on sale. Although I do have this little love bug here that I'll.
Oh, and also Uncle Warren, I guess, counts as a groupie.
Oh, all right. Okay. Oh, all right, Uncle Warren. Maybe there's something I didn't know.
Thanks for joining us.
But thanks for that information.
Yes, Kathy Powers is here. Arturo is here. And that's actually pretty good for a Valentine's Day evening.
Yeah, we got.
Considering a lot of people have plans right now.
That's true, but they should be canceling them and spending them with us.
Yeah, because that's way more fun and important.
It is.
Well, look, if you can get a free meal out of tonight, get it.
That's true.
That's what.
But you're gonna owe. But whoever gets the free meal is gonna owe for it later.
That's true. So let's get into the stuff here, and we will begin with. Kathy says she bought 7 pounds of chicken wings today at Aldi for about $4. Don't tell Ed. Oops.
I told him, Kathy.
So that's where those wings went. Okay, the update is we still don't know where the wings are. The woman has a court date, I believe, on the 22nd, and so maybe there will be some discovery where they actually ask her that question that's burning in everyone's mind. Well, mostly mine.
But mostly Ed's.
But mostly mine. Where are the wings? Where did they go? How do you buy 11,000 cases of wings and nobody has any clue where they went?
That's going to be the trial of the century that we're going to be covering here on Chicago Corner once discovery begins. And I think that Ed's going to be on that case, sniffing like a bloodhound for those chicken wings. Yeah, that information.
So. And so with that, we will move on to the next thing. What is the next thing? Oh, the next thing. Yes, we have a mayoral clown car update. There are too many clowns still in the mayoral clown car.
Oh, there are.
Too many.
But there was another update that we wanted. I'm going to let you. Did you get my Slack message about what happened over Lake Huron? Because I uploaded a very, very special video for it.
Oh no, I didn't.
Well, let's.
Do you have that ready, or can you send me?
I don't, because I was just looking at your show notes. But I'll tell you what, you are driving the bus, so why don't you give us the mayoral clown car update, and I will prepare that story with that information after you finish.
All right, sounds good. We actually have a few little updates to watch, and I'm just gonna let CBS 2 do it because it's a lot easier than me trying to rehash the handful of things that my Swiss cheese memory can remember that we saw. So if I can get to the hero, where is it? No, that's not it. Here it is. No, that's okay. I am hitting the wrong things here. That's not the one. Is it this one? This one. I have 500 tabs open right now, and if you can bear with me, I could hopefully find the right tab.
While you find the right tab, should I go with my breaking news update here? I just got to switch.
If you have it, Jerry, I would love to see it.
All right, so let me get prepared for this as I go into the Chicago Corner. Here we go.
Hold all cars. UFO landed on Michigan Avenue.
Yes. The UFOs.
The UFOs, because...
Or the, what are they called, UAEs now, or UAPs?
Yeah, right in our own backyard. President Biden ordered another what are they calling them now? UAPs?
As an unidentified aerial projectiles?
UFO. Another UFO,
Something.
UAP, whatever.
I think Uncle Warren knows what the acronym is, but it's their UFOs.
Right in our own backyard. Now, this happened a few days ago, and apparently the Pentagon is scrambling jets nationwide to shoot things out of the air, and I have a theory on it. But let me really quickly share this. This came out yesterday. U.S. jets down 4 objects in 8 days, unprecedented in peacetime. And what happened here in our own backyard, the Great Lakes, a U.S. fighter jet shot down an unidentified object over Lake Huron on Sunday on orders from President Joe Biden. It was the fourth such downing in 8 days, and the latest military strike is in an extraordinary chain of events over U.S. airspace that Pentagon officials believe has no peacetime precedent. Part of the reason for the repeated shoot-downs is a heightened alert following a spy balloon from China that emerged over U.S. airspace in late January. General Glenn Van Herk, head of NORAD in the U.S. Northern Command, sent in a briefing with reporters. Since then, fighter jets last week also shot down objects over Canada and Alaska. Pentagon officials said they posed no security threats, but so little was known about them that Pentagon officials were ruling nothing out, not even UFOs. Quote, "We've been more closely scrutinizing our airspace at these altitudes, including enhancing our radar, which may at least partly explain the increase," said Melissa Dalton, Assistant Defense Secretary for Homeland Defense. Now, Biden's press secretary, Sideshow Bob, she went...
because of the hair.
Why else? She spoke to the White House press corps the other day, and on the mention of UFOs, elicited a very snarky response from the press pool there, as if, the possibility of extraterrestrial life is just so incredibly insane and, might I add, out there, pun intended.
So
but
here's like a response kind of like this, Jerry?
Well, they were all laughing. You could hear the snarky giggles in the room. But here's my theory. And this article kind of points it out from the Chicago Tribune. I think since that Chinese balloon went down, there is a much more heightened awareness and probably much more attention on lower altitude. Although it's a high altitude, it's probably a lower altitude than NORAD and other, airspace surveillance methods have been paying attention to. They're probably focused a little bit higher, a little bit farther off. And I think that they're probably either finding more potential spy balloons or drones. And what do I mean by drones? Not extraterrestrial drones, but drones that may have been developed and engineered by Russia, China, and, our own aerospace industries have been developing these types of drones. And perhaps what we're seeing is an infiltration of technology from other nations right now, because let's be clear, if they were extraterrestrial in origin, there's no way they'd be able to be shot down by our, in their eyes, primitive technology.
Okay. I'm going to throw in my 2 cents on this.
Yeah.
I think that the government is trying to distract from all the other stuff that is coming out about the pipeline that got destroyed and the derailment / airborne toxic event that happened in Ohio.
Courtesy of Norfolk Southern, who's now setting up in Englewood.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that in a bit, Jerry. I'm thinking that, we don't know what these things were. We don't know what their origin is. For all we know, it's just a bunch of kids with their expensive camera drones taking them up a little too high into actual regular airspace where the air traffic control picks them up and says, we can't have one of our jets colliding with these things. So they need to scramble jets when they're somewhere between 20 and 40,000 feet, because they're normally.
But they're a little larger than camera drones, though. That's why. And I'll tell you where I got my theory. I'm not a huge fan of Kim Iverson, but she had a specialist on her show earlier today who was talking about the fact that the type of objects that they're shooting down, I guess he's got it on very good authority, that a lot of our aerospace engineering companies have been developing technology we don't know about. And if they're developing it, so is Russia and China. And with the heightened awareness regarding that spy balloon, there might be other foreign anomalies up in the sky, specifically in our airspace, to spy on us. But, let's be clear, we send the same kind of stuff over other countries. So it's not like, our airspace being invaded is so unique to the United States having to protect itself when we routinely engage in the same kind of spy activity over other countries. But it is a distraction, Ed. It is an interesting distraction, especially the fact that our elected representatives know the moment we hear UFOs, our ears perk up and we do get distracted. Yeah. And isn't it interesting? Now they're talking about this stuff when in the past they were just dismissed as, oh, no, there's nothing up there. Everybody who's interested in finding out more is crazy for asking the questions.
Yeah. And of course, nobody's trusting what the government is telling you things are anymore. At least we're not taking everything at face value anymore. Very few people are doing that anymore because the trust is gone. There's too many things they lied to us about.
Another interesting
getting too
theory,
deep in the weeds.
Another interesting theory, and Constitutional Conservative brings it up. There's been railroad terrorism, physically damaging tracks, and through computer system hacking. So it's not always corporate negligence. Tucker Carlson on Fox News had a report on this last night. Okay.
I don't know, but I'm not
There's
buying
news sources. Hold on. There have been other news sources that have been speculating, what if these train derailments are active efforts by foreign influences to kind of test our infrastructure and see how we're going to respond? Plus,
or what if they're domestic acts?
Or domestic acts, yeah.
Because
they're covering up what's happening in Ohio, Ed.
Yeah, we know.
Ohio has really only been breaking this week, and it happened last week. They're kicking reporters out of town for asking questions. They're having people return there. It's toxic. It's poisonous. People are returning to households where their pets are dead. And where's Pete Buttigieg, transportation secretary, who was supposed to be supervising what's happening with the railroads? And is this all related to, safety issues and related to what railroad workers were striking for? We're in the weeds, but it will come later.
I was going to get into the environmental stuff later, unless you want to talk about it now.
No. I don't want to derail where we're going with no pun intended there.
It's fine because a lot of these things
distractions.
They're distractions for all the other stuff that's going on, and some of these things may be linked. We were talking about how Norfolk Southern. We'll be talking a little later about how at least I think that maybe City Council needs to do a do-over on that approval they just did.
You're right.
And so,
what if that happened here? What if Norfolk Southern, in its Englewood expansion, accidentally spilled those type of chemicals in Englewood? That's it. Game over for the city of Chicago. Our water supply, our air, not just in the neighborhood south and west that are regular cabal of toxic polluters are destroying.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump back over to the mayoral clown car for a moment. Now that I actually located the video clip here, Jerry. And before I start that clip, I want to thank our Patreon supporters, all 4 of them. It's 4 still?
It is 4 still. Yeah.
It's 4 still. Thank you very much for supporting us. If you'd like to support this channel, head over to patreon.com/Chicago Corner. We really appreciate your help in helping us figure out how to get a little more going with some of the production costs that we have to incur in order to do this broadcast. So back to the thing here. This is an update from Monday's forum.
Election day just 2 weeks away in Chicago, and the candidates who want to be mayor faced off in another debate last night.
And they're invited again for another forum this morning. CBS News' Asal Razai is live in the loop at the voting super site. Good morning, Asal.
Yeah, good morning, Ryan. Audrina, early voting is now underway across all 50 wards.
Well, I think Asal has a cold.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to take care of yourselves, people. If it's cold outside, wear a hat, drink plenty of fluids, plenty of
electrolytes, as Ed told me when I was sick.
It is cold and flu season, so sometimes it's unavoidable.
the city. And with more voters heading to the polls, candidates for Chicago mayor are making their final stops, hoping to sway voters in their favor. Now, at last night's mayoral forum, the debate had a heavy focus on issues like criminal justice reform and supporting schools on the city's south and west sides. Things getting a bit heated as Brandon Johnson took a few jabs from both Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Jamal Green.
I appreciate the attacks because it's going to make the city of Chicago stronger.
Brandon Johnson, please stop lying about the lived experiences, because you don't have any. And I'm actually living them each and every day, and you are a fraud.
Mr. Johnson says that safe cities in the U.S. do this, this, and this. But what safe cities in the U.S. do is they don't defund the police.
Here we go. Defund the police. Yeah. That's the buzzword they love to throw at anybody who wants to reallocate funds.
This is her latest game plan.
And wasn't she the one? And you know what? She was on social media years ago saying we needed to defund the police when she was the reformer investigating corrupt cops.
Yeah, and the problem, as you have basically pointed out, is that the phrase is triggering to a lot of people. The truth is that police funds need to be redirected or redistributed to other city services. And it's not that you're destroying police by doing this. It's you're actually helping them by taking responsibility away from them they should have never had in the first place.
Investing in the root causes, investing in trying to stave off the root causes of crime. I should just record this and we should hit a button every week. It's desperate people who can't find jobs, who are coming out of horrific household situations in communities that have been abandoned by this bitch here, pretending that she cares.
Yeah, she's being disingenuous with this attack as well. Because the truth is that had she actually had any kind of success in keeping the funding up or increasing funding to the police, she would have made progress by now.
Right. But crime is up. They fudge the stats and act like it's down. It's not. You cannot continue to shovel money into the police department, expect a cop is going to be everywhere that a crime is happening, that they can stop it. It doesn't work that way. You know, you made a point last week. I was re-listening to last week's show, and I said, you know, are we going to imagine that cops are going to be everywhere that a crime might happen because we're spending more money on the cops? And you said, well, they could. And I said, well, maybe. You know what? I'm going to walk that back. That's very, very rare that a cop is going to be specifically in a spot where some idiot's going to decide to commit a crime because they're desperate.
No, you can't. I mean, no, you can't just put one cop every 2 square feet or whatever and expect the crime to just stop. But what I think the point I was getting at was that you at least have regular patrols in neighborhood areas where the cops are living and serving.
But we do have that. We've
got that to a point. But you know, like I've said in the past, and I think you've said it before, it helps to get the cops living in the neighborhoods that they serve in. And when you're recruiting new ones, you should be doing that as well.
So they're familiar faces working with the community, not feared by the community, while the cops also, you know, fear the same community, which is what escalates situations into the clusterfuck we have every week. We're covering a new story like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how you feel.
Now, later this morning, mayoral candidates are expected at a West Side community meeting, hoping to get some help from Chicago's faith leaders. I'm live from the Loop Supersite. Asal Razai, CBS.
And the Saul is not, she needs some rest.
She needs some time off, man. What are you guys thinking over there at Channel 2 News? Give this woman some time off. She needs to.
Well, they're working her pretty hard because here's her report from the afternoon forum or whatever that thing was that they had.
Following last night's mayoral forum, candidates for mayor are meeting again today, this time with Chicago faith leaders.
We are just
faith leaders.
Weeks away from Election Day, so candidates are pulling out all the stops. CBS 2's Asal Razai joins us from the West Side, from the site of this morning's community meeting.
The event here is a part of the Leaders Network monthly meeting, and this month they're choosing to host the mayoral candidates. It's a way for some of the front runners.
Oh, wow. I've been in that room.
and others in the West Side community. Kicking off here at a community center on Jackson Boulevard around 9:30 this morning, some candidates here taking turns addressing West Side voters and issues like crime, schools, and policing in this community.
Because it is well past time that we disrupt and destroy this tale of two cities and usher in a better, stronger state for Chicago.
Have 20-year-old son killed by gun violence. Yeah. And a lot of the parents today have people that has been killed by gun violence and nobody getting caught.
He's all about gun violence.
It's all he's about. It's a dog whistle, is what it is.
That's a problem for me. Should be a problem for everybody in here.
Well, how's it a problem for him? He lives in Hazelcrest. How's it a problem for him? When he drives into work, when he's in the city campaigning, maybe.
Yeah.
To Election Day, we can expect to see candidates making more stops like this, hoping to sway voters in their favor as early voting is now open across all 50 wards in the city.
Oh, by the way, did I mention that early voting has started? I think it started on, was it Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, so all the 50 wards, all wherever the early voting places are. I think you go, is it chicago.gov or chicagoelections.gov for the list of where you can early vote.
The city. Reporting from the West Side, Asal Razai, CBS 2 News.
Oh, that was it.
Follow.
Okay. All right. And then I guess we'll be moving on to, where is that thing? Oh, we're in the other thing. Let me get back to number one here. I'm talking about all these things that you guys can't see out there, but stand by because next we're going to talk about, is Chuy out of step with the progressive movement?
Yes!
That settles that. I guess we can move on. I mean, we could go over this a little bit, I guess. Okay. All right. From the Tribe, Black and Brown Leaders Weigh In by Tanya Hill of the Tribe. And here's Chuy looking extremely excited. That's perfect placement right there, Jerry. I'm loving that. The stash.
I got you covered with the controls.
It's like a 70s movie.
It is. I think he should be known for here on forward as Jesus the Stash. Chuy doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how Chuy got associated with his Jesus Garcia as a nickname when it should be the Stash. You're supposed to be nicknamed after your most prominent feature, and that's it right there. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah. So
here
he is.
I especially like the graphic you did with the money is related to his donations and ties to FTX.
Yeah, he's. I mean, we could read this article, but the truth is, we've already gone over this.
Yeah,
we know what Chuy's problem is. He's been in DC too long. He's too disconnected from city things, and he waited too long to throw his hat in the race. He needs to stay in Washington and get funds for the state. I don't know how many times I can say this for it to sink in for you, Mr. Jesus Chuy the Stash Garcia.
But it's all about his ego and his power. That's all it's about, man. That he's running back here to campaign, leaving congressional business unattended to, and then running back when the president gives a State of the Union address, as he did last week, so he can't speak to people in Chicago. Where's his priorities? His priorities are to serve his donors. He, as a progressive that this article relates to, he acted like he was going to reform the Democratic machine. He's not. You don't change the Democratic establishment. They change you. And he's a perfect example of it. Chucho? Okay, and how does... Oh, is it? Okay. And
Okay,
how
but
does
that- that-
Chucho relate to Jesus?
Yeah, it's like, are there like several steps between in order to get to Chuy? Is it like Boy Scouts for the Jesus name to get to Chuy? It's like Chuy is like the Eagle Scout of Jesus, but you got to start with Chucho and the 2 or 3 other nicknames before that one.
Only constitutional conservative.
Oh, okay.
And we're not going to go into what that means. You can all go look it up.
We don't have to. Sadly, I know what that means.
Arturo shares, I'm not joking here, but if there were vigilantes stopping crimes when the city would really attempt to fight crime, as long as cops need money, we'll continue having problems. And you know what I say to that, Art? If I only had 2 good legs and $1 billion.
All right, let's get into the other thing here. We got a Lori story.
Hey, I see what you did there.
Hey, it rhymed even. That's actually pretty good. I'm impressed with myself on that one. I don't know why. It's because you're dragging the show on. It's lasting forever. God, where did she come from?
She's hijacked our broadcast.
Political fund created by Lightfoot's allies used cash from city contractors to attack Johnson. Gee, there's a shock. Greetings, citizens of the internet. I need to do more of those.
You do. You really.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You will stop speaking. You will stop speaking. You're full of crap, and that's the nicest thing that I can say.
I did see that, Kathy. She did publicly wish her wife a happy VD.
It's not funny. Not funny.
I love this. Yeah, she was on WGN this morning, literally begging to keep her job. Well, you know, Art, she is on LinkedIn now, so she has gotten a head start on some leads for, when she's out at the end of the month. We hope.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. And it's like what if you're going around telling everybody you're on LinkedIn, like right before your supposed possible reelection, tells me you don't think you have much of a chance.
Thanks for the $1, Kathy.
All right. So, a political action committee created by close allies of Mayor Lori Lightfoot to boost her bid for re-election, fueled with cash from firms doing business with the city of Chicago, entered the political fray on Tuesday with an advertisement attacking Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson. The 15-second ad. Oh, do they have a link to the ad? I don't know if we should watch it. Well, maybe we should.
We should definitely watch that.
I think before we go any further, we need to watch this ad.
Why don't you get that ad queued up in the meantime?
Brandon Johnson is too extreme for Chicago.
Too extreme? Are you kidding? He's milquetoast.
He's not extreme enough.
He's Jamal's boring older brother.
You know who's extreme and radical? It's Jamal. That's why I like him. That's what we need. We can't be polite anymore.
Yeah,
we have to be radical and extreme in the right ways, not in the ways that put people off the way that Lightfoot does with their thin skin. We have to be radical in leadership ways.
I kind of feel he's lashing out right now because he knows that Brandon is probably going to be a front runner, possibly make it into the runoff. So.
Chicago. Johnson wants to defund the police.
Yeah, see, look at this bullshit.
He doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Putting our safety at risk. Raise taxes on the middle class.
Yeah, that's also bullshit.
This is Lori Lightfoot's PAC, right?
And what they do is...
What a fucking bitch, am I right?
grabbing all this crap out of context.
Yep.
and drive jobs away from Chicago.
Oh yeah, that's what he wants to do. Sure.
Like Lightfoot's been doing a whole lot of driving jobs here. She keeps claiming, "Oh, I got Google." Did you? Are you sure? Kind of feels like the machine got Google.
Brandon Johnson, a change for the worse.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What? That's just that is your stereotypical garbage political hit piece. It says nothing.
Yeah, it's
basically it throws out
garbage.
It's muckraking dog whistling that if you actually looked at the facts, and we have, you could discredit every point that video just made. And unfortunately, Ed, remember when I shared last show 2 really intelligent friends asking me who I like in the mayor's race because they don't have the attention span or the time to really pay attention? That's who that ad is geared towards, because they're not going to go look and see, they're going to believe what they see on TV because that's what everybody does. They're not going to say, no, he's not interested in defunding the police. Oh, he's not interested in raising property taxes. These are things taken out of context and twisted into pretzels to create sound bites to basically make everybody think Lori's going to keep them safe.
Yeah.
But her record says otherwise.
All they're basically doing is regurgitating these fake talking points so that they can get other people saying it to each other at the water or whatever the modern version of the water cooler is, at the K-cup coffee maker, maybe, for people who still go into the office.
Oh, the Keurig machine?
Yeah.
Because the truth is, that's the truth.
Yeah. So
it has been for 4 years. Up until now, suddenly she's out acting like she cares and doing things that she should have done the day one of her taking office 4 years ago.
Yeah, so the point of this article is that basically like city contractors are taking the money that they're getting for jobs to do in the city, and they're taking some of that money and donating it to Lightfoot's campaign through this super PAC. And former Inspector General Joseph Ferguson, harsh critic of Lightfoot, said that while the political activity by the 77 committee is legal, it is unethical. Yeah, well, what a shock.
Just like it was trying to recruit Chicago public school kids as campaign slave labor because she doesn't have any money to pay them. Yeah. Although, do you know who has more money than her right now? Vallis.
Vallis. He's got, I think I had a graphic. What did I do with that graphic?
I had put this in the Slack for Friday. I don't know if we can talk about it tonight also when we get to Vallis, up to you, but I do have something regarding that. So we'll talk about that later.
Okay. I mean, we'll be jumping around a little bit here, but as long as we brought it up, let me bring up this tab here. This is that little graph from Frank Calabrese over on Twitter showing the campaign money raised by Chicago mayor candidates since January 1st.
And Vallis is keeping his donors a big secret. Because as the Tribune reports, donors to political committees supporting Paul Vallis are secret, but leadership has ties to the current campaign. He doesn't live in Chicago. He doesn't really live in Chicago. He's a carpetbagger who's here to serve those donors in the political action committee that are secret. That's what he's here to do.
Yeah, they're calling him Palos Paul. They're calling Palos Paul on Twitter. They're even using a hashtag because the truth is he's got a family and a house in Palos Heights. He's renting an apartment in the city, and he was doing it specifically so he could run for mayor.
Yeah. Less than a year ago is when he decided to rent that apartment and file papers, which shows how really dedicated he is to the city of Chicago before that.
So, yeah. And how much time is he really spending in the city versus what he's doing out in the burbs?
Because he's got secret interests that he's serving.
Exactly. So here we are. If you can't read that, it says Paul Vallis has brought in $2.7 million since January 1st. Brandon Johnson, $1.8 million. Although we did hear a story recently that it's possible that CTU leadership is doing things to donate to his campaign without running it by the rest of the CTU.
I didn't know he has more than Lightfoot. That's actually a pleasant surprise to know that they're look, not in Vallis's case, but I'm glad to see more people are supporting Brandon financially to get his.
Yeah, so that's actually, I mean, that's good news for Brandon Johnson. I mean, money is not everything in a campaign, but it definitely helps. So
I don't see
if he's
J-Mal anywhere on that graph.
J-Mal's not on the graph because he's self-funded. It's the only thing he has in common with Willie Wilson is he and Willie are both self-funding. And so J-Mal, I think I saw in a story he has about a couple 100,000.
And Willie is self-funded to the tune of millions. Now I'm actually
like $6 million. He gave $6 million to his own campaign.
So they don't include Wilson on this graph because this is about money raised, not money that the candidate has. In which case, Wilson would have the most amount of money.
Yeah, and so Brandon was doing grassroots fundraising. So or J-Mal was doing grassroots fundraising. So that's why I guess it's why he's not on this graph. Okay, so Lightfoot coming in behind Brandon Johnson with 1.3 million, Chuy with 1.2, and Sophia King didn't have a whole lot in her coffers. I think her husband had donated to her campaign, and then she was using whatever she had left over from her aldermanic campaign coffers. Did I have I think I had an article too. We might as well go on to the money in the mayor's race story since we're talking money here. We'll head to Block Club Chicago. Money in the mayor's race. Here's who's spending big to influence Chicago's next boss. The candidates for mayor have raised more than $22 million since the beginning of 2022. Let me close that tab. Use our search tool to search all the donations made to them. Okay, well, I'm not using your search tool. But you can, if you head over to Block Club Chicago, and I will.
I mean, does this not just scroll up really quickly again to the image of the?
Hang on. Yeah.
No, farther up.
Oh, this one.
If this doesn't, no, the picture of all the candidates.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Oh,
if this doesn't illustrate. Oh, okay. Now you are.
It's the clown car now with extra cash.
Whether city has that many candidates running in an election. I have looked nationally. I've never seen another city that routinely has as many candidates running for mayor as Chicago.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. So, like I said, too many.
God
clowns.
Bless you, my dear. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't
it be great if all that money were spent on the city? Kathy is so correct. $22 million.
And he is pulling a Darren Bailey. I guess Vallis is renting a place from Darren Bailey at the Hancock Center.
Yeah. That's how much. $22 million is how much 9 candidates for Chicago mayor have reported raising since the beginning of 2022. Under state election law, the campaigns can accept an unlimited amount of money from their supporters. That's because one of the candidates, business owner Willie Wilson, put $5 million. Okay, 5. I think I said 6. $5 million of his own money into his campaign fund in April, which lifted the donation caps for everyone in the race. Since then, several of the candidates have received a series of checks for more money than most Chicago households make in a year. Yeah, could I get one of those checks? I want one. Other mayoral hopefuls have been shut out of the big contributions from unions and wealthy business leaders, relying instead on family, friends, or their own resources. In each case, the flow of money shows who the candidates have turned to and who wants to influence them as they try to get to the 5th floor at City Hall. Money doesn't always add up to votes, but it helps. Hey, I actually said that earlier. How about that? At one time.
Especially when you've got that money to spend on media buys, because those are the most expensive. And as we saw with that ad that you ran from Lightfoot earlier about Johnson, that's what it's all about. It's about polluting the airwaves with misinformation or, trying to control the message. Really quickly, I want to tease something. We're going to have Jim Ascott back on the show on Friday, who's running 34th Ward. We reported on this against Conway, who doesn't want to show up for public forums. And I made a comment in the last show that I think Conway is waiting to spend the money he's raised to basically do a media blitz the week before the election without ever having to have come out and been accountable, speaking to Ascott, who's the other candidate. And this is why all this money is important. It's media buys, because producing a media spot and buying the airtime is very expensive. And that's how elections are manipulated.
Yeah, it's actually pretty infuriating when you listen to traditional media or watch TV or radio and listen to radio. So not everybody's listening to radio anymore, but a lot of the voting electorate, especially the older people, still listen to radio. If you're not running ads on there, then the only thing that people on the radio are hearing are Willie Wilson trying to scare you into voting for him. Because that's all his ads do. He tells, "Oh, there's crime. It's bad. You should be scared." But Willie's here. He's fine. Vote for Willie. Yeah, that's not good enough, Willie. And now Conway. We had an update on Conway. Did I write down the update on Conway? I think I had. Yes. They were scheduling another forum on Wednesday, and he dropped out of that. But Jim Ascot is still going to be there, and they're going to ask questions. So,
well, I'm very proud to say Jim reached out to me and said, "Can I come back on the show?" There's the power of Chicago Corner speaking to the people. And I said, yeah, come on. And I'll do you even a more solid, Jim, since you want to show up and be present and talk about how Conway is ducking you. I will subclip that segment so that you can share on social media with all of your constituents. Spread it wide and share with people. Come on our show, share your message. Once again, tell us why you're better than Conway, since he does not want to show up and speak with you in person and exchange ideas, and use the segment to support your candidacy, since Conway is the son of a billionaire and he's probably going to try to use that money to blitz media. You can have 15 to 20 minutes to share on social media every reason why you're better than him and take advantage of it. So,
yeah.
By the way, thank you, Dominic, for your comment. One new law I'd like to see is that campaign money used in elections be split in half before it is spent on a campaign. I like that, because that would show a commitment from candidates to the cities and municipalities that they want to serve. That would be an outstanding type of reform to really separate those who want to walk the walk instead of just talk the talk.
Yeah, well, and if we actually had a city bank, a municipal bank, then that bank could hold the funds in the meantime. So that would be even better for the city, because then that type of bank would actually be helping out small businesses and giving people loans and stuff.
Kathy says they want to walk away with the money. How about flip side? Any money that you have left after you win or lose a campaign goes into the city, goes into the city treasury, because why not? The money you were raising was to serve the city. So win or lose, why don't you donate that money to the city that you wanted to serve to do some good? No, Kathy says it because they want to walk away with the money.
Yeah. All right. Back to the article. It says money doesn't always add up to votes, but it helps. At one time, the course of Chicago politics was shaped by patronage armies. Government employees who knew that if they wanted to keep their jobs, they had to get voters to support their political bosses. Now, I believe that's illegal now.
It is illegal.
Probably was then. Yeah.
But there are loopholes, Ed. There are loopholes that they all use.
Those days are gone, I guess. Some campaigns still have volunteers willing to knock on doors and talk to people in person, but most rely on paid staffers, TV, and internet ads and mailers. By the way, those mailers, those printed card stock insert
postcards straight to the trash for me. Yeah.
They're if I see a candidate with their name on one of those, I'm not voting for them. It's a gigantic waste of paper.
Well, I've been getting postcards from both candidates in the ward here, and I got to vote for one of them, but I don't look at them. I take a quick cursory.
And a lot of them are I would say, 70% of them are filled with lies going against the candidate they're against. So, don't do that. Okay. As the incumbent Mayor Lori Lightfoot has attracted contributions from some unions and powerful people who support her leadership and who have received benefits from her administration. That includes the owners of pro sports teams. Really? Pro sports teams. Pro sports teams. Oops. I keep hitting the wrong. See, I got to scroll down further for this one. For that, because the other one.
So let's unwrap this really quickly. Which pro sports teams? Because clearly not the Bears, because they're bailing.
Maybe the Cubs.
Okay, the Ricketts. Yeah, the Ricketts family.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Actually, I think further down in here it has what's her name? Laura. Is it Laura Ricketts?
Yep.
Yeah, Laura Ricketts, whose family owns Wrigley Field, and the Cubs has given Lightfoot's campaign more than $201,000 since the start of 2022.
Interesting. Two of the Ricketts were big Trump supporters.
Not all of them. I think, but Laura Ricketts says that here she says, all of my activism has been about backing queer women for office who historically have had trouble raising money, Ricketts said to Hines. Okay, so basically she's giving her money because of identity politics.
Exactly. She's the token progressive in the Ricketts family for the purposes of identity politics. I wonder if she would be giving Lori all this money if Lori weren't queer, if she was just a black woman. Would be interesting, wouldn't it, to be able to take that label away from all of this and see what their real agendas are?
Of course she would say, if you ask her, she'd say yes, but you'll never know. Let's see. In addition to donations from Ricketts, Lightfoot's campaign got $30,000 from Jerry Reinsdorf. Okay, owner of the Sox and the Bulls, co-owner of United Center. His son Michael, Bulls president and chief executive officer, contributed another $5,000, as did Michael's wife Nancy, head of Bulls Charities. Wirtz family gave Lightfoot's campaign $18,000. They own the United Center and the Blackhawks.
Quick comment. Mm-hmm. The McCaskey family could probably learn something from this, couldn't they?
I don't know what's up with the McCaskey family, but I wish they would stop asking everybody else to pay for their stadiums.
But interesting, though, Ed, we have the Wirtz family. We've got the Ricketts family. They know how to get shit done. The McCaskies, not only are the McCaskies too fucking cheap to buy their own stadium or pay their way, they're too cheap to try to bribe the mayor who's in power right now to do their bidding. All the more reason to get the fuck out of town and go to Arlington Heights. Get out.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
I got my Super Bowl 20. I'm good. I don't need the Bears to stick around anymore.
Never have a magic moment like that again. Super Bowl 20. That was you'll never have the personalities, you'll never have the team, you'll never have
Refrigerator Perry scoring a touchdown. Come on. Where are you going to get anything like that today?
Perry, we had, but who's the one? The God,
Walter Payton, Jim McMahon.
McMahon has had some serious brain injury. Well, repercussions, no pun intended, as a result of his professional football career. Sadly.
Yeah, I think a number of players are dealing with that these days. That's a whole other. That could be a whole show talking about sports injuries and all that stuff and how they're affecting everybody. It's kind of sad how that's going on these days. In fact, I think a lot of families are second guessing whether they want their kids to get into sports because of those types of impact injuries that they don't know they're going to have to deal with years down the road.
My brother played football in high school successfully. I don't remember I think he may have been injured at one point, but his injury is what really changed his perspective on his son, my nephew, playing football. Now, my nephew plays soccer. He's very, very good at it, but that's a low-impact sport, thankfully.
Speaking of soccer, Jerry, Lightfoot also received, we know this already, $25,000 last fall from Joe Mansueto, the billionaire owner of the Fire soccer team.
Yeah. With all that hub land going to that new training field. facility.
Lightfoot's behest, the Chicago Housing Authority has agreed to lease 20 acres to the fire so the team can build a practice facility.
Could it not be clear that while these donations are not illegal, the stink of corruption and the fact that they are clearly unethical in how they are influencing the mayor couldn't be clearer. Could not be clear, especially in that situation with the Chicago Fire soccer team.
What is
Now the
Kathy
practice
sending
facility.
me? Let's see what Kathy's sending me in the chat here. I can't copy that. Hold on. She's sending me a YouTube link. This ought to be something special. Okay. Oh, yeah. I don't know if we're gonna get a copyright strike for that, though.
Is there music? Can you mute it? What is it?
I'll mute it.
Oh yeah. There they
We
are.
are the Bears, shuffling crew, shuffling all down, doing it for you.
There's Jim.
So yeah,
it's a magic time.
People have tried to imitate this, but it's never been duplicated.
Everybody loved football at that time. I was never into sports or following football, but I was that year.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, it was Monsters of the Midway time. You know, it was magical. I can't think of another time like that in football. But then I'm probably biased just because I'm from Chicago, or at least I'm from the Chicago area originally. But I've been living here for close to 20 years now. So I feel like I am from Chicago. I can say I'm from Chicago now because I live here. Although Linus Den might give me crap for it, probably. Okay. So yeah. Where was I? Oh, Lightfoot got money.
And I was just checking. I was very, very proud to witness during my administration while I was still alive, the Monsters of the Midway winning Super Bowl 20.
Where did I leave off here? Come on. I think I'm in the wrong story here. Oh, I am in the wrong story. Let me get back to the right one here. Here we are. Okay, yeah. We talked about that other one. Yeah, Mansueto says he and Lightfoot share a, quote, vision to bring investment to historically disinvested parts of Chicago. Okay, what? By taking public housing land and building a practice field?
Yeah, to serve the millionaire owners of the team.
What? No, I had to develop a Chicago accent from the years of living here and watching all the terrible Chicago accents on television and movies. But also part of it is slightly derivated from my impression of Peg-Leg Sullivan, the guy who had recently been vindicated for not burning down O'Leary's barn and starting the Great Chicago Fire.
Fake news.
Some other guy.
Fake news.
And also, I was extremely bad at even trying to do an Irish accent, which he probably originally had. So I just said, well, he's been a ghost for so long, he's just kind of absorbed the Chicago and Ukrainian village type accent. Part Bridgeport, also, I think. It's just kind of it comes and goes. And then occasionally I will float into my Upper accent from Upper Michigan, where I went to school. But I am
I think
delving
both the
into
Upper
things.
Michigan, though, and the Chicago accent are uniquely Dennis Franz.
Yeah, a little bit. But I digress, because otherwise Jerry's going to hit the...
I was getting ready to.
Okay, what is it? 8:30. Okay, we've been here an hour. And Uncle Warren is devastated because he thought I was born in Chicago with that accent. I was born close to Chicago, but not quite in Chicago.
I was born in Chicago.
Yeah, and I grew up in the burbs.
What city? So, where were you born?
I'm I was born in Park Ridge, actually, at a hospital over there.
Still there?
And no, I didn't grow up in Park Ridge, though. I grew up in another suburb near Schaumburg.
Is the hospital still there?
The hospital is still there. And let's see. What do we got? Oh, Wirtz family. Okay. Joe Mansueto. We talked about him. Okay. And then Paul. Palos Paul. Former CPS CEO Paul Vallis has raised $4.6 million from January 2022 to the end of January 2023. I guess he spent a bit of it.
Might I quickly punctuate? His donors are secret, but leadership has ties to the current campaign.
Although we know some of his donors. So when Vallis ran for mayor 4 years ago, he raised more than $1 million, largely from small businesses, but he finished 9th out of 14 candidates, far from the runoff. So I mean, I guess relative to the last election, we actually have a small clown car this time around.
And he's also the only honky candidate right now too. So he has a special base he's appealing to.
Yes. Vallis's fundraising fortunes have improved greatly this election season since he's white, basically.
Honkies for Vallis.
I'm surprised no one's made a campaign bumper sticker out of that yet. He's collected more than $4.5 million in campaign donations. Most of it has come in the past month.
Interesting, isn't that? Why didn't everybody jump on the Palos Express earlier? Because they're seeing that, I don't know, perhaps a black candidate might have a possibility of winning again.
So the billionaires are getting nervous.
Or Garcia, or a Hispanic candidate win.
Yeah, I think they're more concerned about Brandon, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Although, I guess it depends, If they're of the mind that it's the three worst candidates have the best chance, like a lot of the mainstream media is doing, then maybe that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But we're trying to disillusion you. I think that's the word. We're trying to dissuade you from that illusion, because Lightfoot, Vallis, Garcia, they are the worst. They're worst choices.
Even worse.
You shouldn't be picking from any of those.
Hey, buddy, I thought I was the worst choice.
Yeah, well, you're not running this time. And you're in Japan, so we can't get you, suckers.
I kind of am by proxy, sucker.
Yeah, because he's basically Lori, only 2 inches taller.
That's right.
And gone. To do reverse. Oh, they found you, Jerry. I can hear
you found me. They're coming up for me.
I take responsibility for what happened because it happened on my watch.
Get out.
So so most of those donations came from in the past month. This is largely from a handful of wealthy individuals from investment and financial firms. Many of them previously backed Lightfoot, former mayors Richard M. Daley and Rahm Emanuel, or Republican officials. Now, they say investment and financial firms, and what they're not telling you is it's your buddy from Citadel.
Told you I'm secretly influencing things, sucker. Gotta go.
Allegedly. The Citadel guy.
Yeah. Oh, Griffin.
Yes.
Mayo. What do they call him now? He's got multiple. What's the one? Kenny. There's another one. Something Mayo Kenny or something.
I don't remember his nickname, his recent nicknames, but yeah, Kenny Griffin, the Citadel hedge weasel, the hedge weasel is what I'm calling him,
aka fuckface.
He's seeing the writing on the wall, which is why he left Chicago for Florida, because once they start to take all his assets, he'll actually be able to keep his house because the laws are different in Florida. So at least we think that's how that works. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, literally, I mean, the stock market is a mess right now. If you guys don't understand, it's gigantic rigged casino. Worse than the casino that people normally call it.
Worse than the casino that people normally gamble in.
Yeah. So it's like, unless you really know what's going on or what you're doing with the movement of money, I would not highly suggest getting involved in the stock market, although I am not telling you what to do. You could do whatever you want with your money. I am not providing advice.
It was a diabolical scheme that was implemented, Ed, that actually seems to have been quite successful. And that was banks reducing the interest that you can earn, putting it in an account, advising everybody to go invest your money in the stock market. You can build your retirement there since we're not giving you interest anymore. So that literally delivered everybody's money that they invested in the market for their retirement, then has the opportunity to be stolen by all these motherfuckers who are manipulating the market with the SEC's complicity for the past several decades.
Yeah. So if you happen to have money in the market, maybe you've got money in a 401k or retirement plan or something, maybe you want to scream and yell at your brokers and let them know that you don't want these market makers messing with the prices on the stock market. They are manipulating all of the stock prices behind the scenes inside what is called the dark pools instead of the regular stock market, which is called the lit market.
And they didn't call it the dark pools to make it sound sinister. What it means is that they're dark. We can't see how they're moving money back and forth as opposed to the way we see money on what's called the lit exchange that has light on it where you can see it. When you've got all these hedge funds, market makers moving all of our money in dark pools, which were really supposed to be implemented with large movements of money that weren't supposed to impact the market between large institutions. Mm-hmm. Now the hedge funds are taking everybody's retail investors' money and putting it through the dark pools to manipulate the price action. It's illegal. Gary Gensler has the power to shut down the dark pools like that.
Gary Gensler is the head of the SEC.
Securities and Exchange Commission, who are in bed.
They're supposed to be regulating the stock market, but the truth is they're not.
And you know why they're not? Because they know when they're done at the SEC, they'll get higher paying jobs on Wall Street. So basically, they are the wolves in charge of the hen house.
Yeah,
because once they make sure that the hen house is wiped out, then they go join the other wolves who were making sure that they were placeholding things for them.
So the investment and financial firms, or more likely the hedge weasels, are also investing in these elections because they want people to favor their positions on how things work instead of looking out for us, the retail investor.
Boom.
So, okay. Vallis's top contributor over the past year was millionaire Michael Kaiser, co-founder of Recycled Paper Greetings, a card company and developer of golf courses and resorts. A prolific campaign donor he is given frequently to Republicans, including former Governor Bruce Rauner. He sent Vallis campaign $700,000. Vallis also received more than $1 million from executives at the private equity investment firm Madison Dearborn, led by $450,000 from managing director James Perry Jr. In 2019, Perry donated to Lightfoot, as did two other Madison Dearborn leaders. Both have since joined Perry in donating to Vallis. It's a big club, Jerry.
Do we see a pattern here, man?
The reason why the three worst candidates are the ones that everybody's saying are the best candidates over on mainstream media is because it's a rigged game. They're fine with any of the three.
They're putting their bets on white. That's what they're doing.
Too. Or they're putting their bet on blue. but
Yeah.
And that's the blue
No,
machine.
red, because he's not blue, and we know
No,
that
I'm saying it's the 3-person card game, the 3-card Monty that is our election game, where there's 3 candidates they're saying are the best when they're actually the worst. So once again, Lightfoot, Vallis, Garcia, don't vote for any of them.
Vote for the candidate that reflects your values. Vote for the candidate that reflects your values. That's all I say. I had a conversation with my mom.
I mean, if they reflect your values, do what you want. But I'm just saying, they don't care about you.
It stuns and depresses me that Lightfoot, Vallis, or Garcia would reflect anyone's values, because they clearly are serving a specific class, and it's not us.
Yeah.
And when I have conversations,
yeah, go ahead.
When I have conversations with relatives who tell me, well, Green is too young, he's too inexperienced, he should go run for another office before he climbs the ladder. It's like, why? We have problems right now. Why are you telling me that I have to hold my nose and select these 3 stink bombs whose experience hasn't done anything? Wouldn't you want to change your perception and decide to take a chance on someone who hasn't been sullied yet? Why wouldn't you? Why would you decide to discriminate based on somebody's age?
I'm just recommending that instead of voting with identity as a priority for you, vote on the policies. Vote on the things they've done. Vote on their on what they've done, what they're likely to do. You can kind of get an idea based on things that they say, but you know that politicians will lie.
Well, also, Ed, what you're saying is if you can disseminate that, you are then voting for the candidate that reflects your values. That's what I say. That's what I mean when I say that.
Yeah, I'm just expanding on that a little. Okay, so all right. So who else is giving to Vallis? Ron Gidwitz, who served as a state finance chair for Trump's 2016 campaign.
Oh, interesting. He's not a Republican.
And that guy was named ambassador to Belgium in 2018 by Trump. Okay. He gave Vallis $25,000. Okay. Based on his fundraising, it's clear Vallis has also emerged as a favorite of many City Hall insiders from the Daley and Emmanuel areas. That should be disqualifying right there. Right there.
It says it all. It says what this is about. This is like when they wanted to run Rich Daley against Washington in the primary, the Democratic primary back in the day, because, Daley was going to implement everything that his old man did.
Okay, yeah, he's going to
continue the status quo. People see that Vallis is going to continue the status quo that they donated to Lori for in her first term, to win her first term.
And then here we are. He's been endorsed by Chicago Fraternal Order Police. So, shocker there.
Yeah, shocker there.
Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis.
All right, so let's move on to Brandon. They got him at $2.7 million.
Oh, had a comment in the live chat real quick from Dominic. Political action committees give money to candidates, can donate hundreds of times the amounts any individual citizens are allowed to donate, and those that do often don't even live in the state where the money came from. Why do you think Lori Lightfoot's been out of state campaigning and raising money everywhere else?
Texas and United.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I tell you I made a super PAC one time, Jerry?
I need a super PAC.
It's actually technically it still exists because it never actually earned money, so I never had to do anything with it. Bacon Super PAC.
Oh, the Bacon Super PAC.
Yeah, that's
and what was the Bacon Super PAC?
You can actually still see. I think the website's still up if you want to look at it. It's baconsuperpac.com. It was help more Americans bring home the bacon. I think the long name of it was Americans for More Bacon Tomorrow. and of course it had a little candidate letter from CP Bacon or Bacon for Prez over on Twitter if you guys are interested in that guy, that weird fictional character with the head made of bacon who's running for president of Twitter.
And which candidates did he want to put that super PAC money towards?
Just himself.
Just himself. Okay.
Yeah. Or I think
all candidates do.
Yeah, well, I think I think the money was going to actually go toward supporting food related things like the Greater Chicago Food Depository and helping people in the restaurant industry, like food truck vendors and those types of things. So no, it was but it never collected any money, so it never had to go anywhere. The money never had to do anything, but it could have been used to do some really goofy political ads. That's what I was hoping for. I was hoping like a windfall of cash would come in there and I could actually use it to produce some really crazy stuff that would actually end up on TV. But now I have to settle for this. All right. Back to the thing here. That was my little side eye breaking the fourth wall kind of thing. It's kind of hard to tell. Brandon Johnson. So here's the complicated part. It says the union men. When Garcia pushed incumbent Emanuel into a runoff before losing in 2015, he had the backing of progressive groups such as CTU and locals of the Service Employees International Union. But this time, many of those unions lined up behind Johnson before Garcia got into the race in November, and their money went with them.
But they offered it to Garcia, though. They approached him. He didn't have the time. He wanted to make sure he had options for himself.
Yeah, he was hedging his bets, and he waited too long. And look, you snooze, you lose, Chuy.
Stash.
Take your stash back to D.C. and get us some cash. Get us some cash, Stash.
Cash Stash. That's what he should.
Hi, I'm Chuy the Stash.
Jesus.
And I need to get some cash for my state of Illinois.
I am Jesus the Cash Stash.
I don't know if I'm doing a good Chuy impression or not. I never really try.
And Stash has double meaning. I am Jesus the Cash Stash Garcia.
I got a stash of cash and I have a stash. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do that again. All right. So the money went with them. Johnson's mayoral campaign has received more than $2.7 million since the beginning of 2022. 96% of it from teachers' unions, SEIU locals, or affiliate groups. Leading the way are American Federation of Teachers, the AFT, which gave more than $1 million, and the CTU, which contributed more than $600,000. Johnson, a Cook County commissioner, has worked as a teacher and CTU organizer. In an interview, Johnson said those unions include teachers, teachers' assistants, crossing guards, healthcare workers, child care workers, and community college professors. These are people who are in every single ward in the city of Chicago, Johnson said. My campaign is fueled by working class people. Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess that would explain why he's got such a big stash of his own. Brandon does. Dash of cash. Okay, I think I'm wearing this out, though. Although we do move on to... let me line it up here.
It's lined up.
That's pretty good. Okay. Chuy with $2.3 million. U.S. Representative Jesus Chuy the Stash Garcia has raised $2.3 million from January 1st, 2022 to January 31st, 2023 toward his mayoral run. Okay. Garcia had his own union allies ready to step up. The top funder of his mayoral campaign is Local 150 of the IUOE, the Operating Engineers Union, which gave his campaign $1 million through its Fight Back Fund. That's almost half the $2.3 million he collected since last year. Separately, Garcia also has a committee for his congressional campaigns, and he transferred $103,000 of it to his mayoral fund.
That's legal?
Apparently, it's legal.
That money was raised to run for Congress.
Yeah.
It should be reserved for campaigns related to Congress, not because he decides he wants to go hedge his bet and now be the king of Chicago.
Yeah, if I were a person who donated to his congressional campaign, I would be pissed about learning about this.
Yep.
Because
he's not doing his job, and he's rediverting the money to get another job.
Yeah, and he's not the only one doing that, by the way. I mean, apparently because it's legal, all the candidate, like aldermanic candidates and everything who are running for mayor are also doing that same thing.
Anybody in particular?
Yes. I think Ray Lopez definitely was one of them, but I was thinking of Sophia King, actually.
Sophia who?
The alder person who wants to cooperate with everything.
Sophia who?
King. Yeah, that person.
There's nothing that she said about anything that stands out as being memorable in my mind. Hence the Sophia who.
Oh, I agree, Jerry. I think that we should cooperate on agreeing to cooperate on the agreement to cooperate
on other people's good ideas.
Yes.
Speaking of other people's good ideas.
Yes. But before we do that, there's more stash.
Oh, is there more stash? Okay.
More stash. Yes. But among scores of other donations, Garcia's congressional fund received money from controversial figures, Jerry. Lightfoot has slammed him for receiving support from Samuel Bankman-Fried, the cryptocurrency exec who was indicted last year on federal fraud charges.
Even though I, too, have some ties to financial hedge fund, big finance chicanery. Gotta go.
Yeah, so he said he would send the money back, although I think he already donated it somewhere. So I guess we'll see what happens there. Okay. He got money from a lawyer who recently made headlines for working on behalf of the Fraternal Order of Police and has also made racist social media posts. So
Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis.
Yeah, I think we all do. Well, most of us. Jamal Green has raised $337,000. This is the part, the self-funders. I mentioned this earlier. Green and Wilson have gone after each other throughout the campaign, starting with efforts to knock each other off the ballot. By the way, Willie should be off the ballot. He doesn't live here either. Hazel Crest is not part of Chicago.
Picture of him. He looks like a mugshot.
He's glaring at me. He's like, shut up. It is too.
What are you saying about where I live?
I live in downtown Hazel Crest. Seriously, Vallis and Willie Wilson, they're disqualified. So that's basically, so Lightfoot, no. Garcia, no. Vallis, no. Wilson, no. That gets rid of 4 right there. It's a 5 candidate race now.
Between bang, 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 bang.
Easy now.
I know. But back to Jamal.
So Green and Wilson share something in common. They both count themselves as their top financial backers. Green's leading donor is his own business, Majesty Marketing. I think he pronounces it Majesty, although it looks like it's a misspelling of majesty, or a purposeful misspelling. Majesty. Maybe that's the name of a neighborhood or something. Majesty Marketing.
I never made that connection, Majesty. You're right. Maybe, yeah, right. I'm slow.
Anyway, his marketing business, which reported $180,000 in contributions through the use of a campaign bus.
The Green Express.
Okay, cool. Green also put nearly $18,000 of his own money into his campaign. In a statement, a campaign spokesperson said Green also received scores of other donations that average about $55 apiece. Our campaign is a grassroots movement, and we rely on regular people to fund our operations, the spokesperson said. $6 million, Willie Wilson. That's where I saw the 6. Okay, I guess he gave himself 5, and then maybe he gave himself another $1 million. Willie's giving to himself is on another scale. Over the past year, he's poured $6 million into his campaign, accounting for 99% of the money in his political fund. Richard Boykin, a former Cook County commissioner, now serving as a spokesperson for the campaign, said Wilson self-funded to maintain his independence. He wants to be able to do the work for the people of Chicago without being influenced by special interests, Boykin said. Well, he's influenced by his own special interests, though. So, I mean, yeah, I'm looking at you. Okay. Alderman Sophia King has raised $545,000. She relied on the support of someone else she knows well, her husband, Alan, an attorney. He gave her $150,000. King's campaign didn't respond to a message from Block. Okay.
It's convenient to have an attorney husband with lots of money, isn't it?
It helps. Okay. The existing war chests. This is where we're... Buckner and Sawyer have trailed in fundraising since they got into the race last year. Both have instead relied on money they raised in campaigns for their current offices. This is what I'm talking about.
If you're trailing in fundraising, it might be a hint you need to get out and get behind the other candidates that support the same platform that you're running on, because clearly there's been a very similar message amongst many of these candidates, including Buckner, Sawyer, Johnson, and Jamal.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting in this race just so you can be heard and have your ideas heard, fine. But at a certain point, you got to say, okay, how long do I stay in this before I'm damaging the person that I might actually get behind and support?
While burning a lot of money, $194,000.
And that's not addressing anyone in particular. I'm just saying, we got 9 candidates. Half of them are African American? That makes it hard for your demographic to win when you're splitting the vote that many ways.
You think?
But that's just a strategy thought there. I mean, you do you. Okay, so Buckner transferred $194,000 from Friends of Cam Buckner, his legislative campaign fund. See, this is how they're getting away with it, because they're transferring it from super PACs. If they were doing it from an actual fund that is directly linked to their office, they couldn't do it. I don't think. I could be talking on my ass on this. I'm not sure.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Wouldn't be the first time.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yes!
We tease each other on this program. And as you can see. Okay, 9:00. Let's see if we can wrap this story up here. Sawyer moved $18,000 from his 6th Ward Democratic organization. Only moved $18,000, and he's got $138,000. Okay. He's got donors. His donors included Plumbers Union, which is supporting Lightfoot for mayor, and J.B. Pritzker, who has not endorsed anyone in the mayor's race. So they're talking about who the donors were from his previous run.
That's curious. Pritzker has not waded into this.
I think he's staying out of this because there's enough fingers in this pie right now
No, he's got his. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
and he's dealing with his own stuff. I don't think he wants to latch on to any specific candidate and get their stink on him if they happen to lose.
That's a good way to put it. Good comment in the chat, real quick, from our patron Dominic. I wonder if any union leaders or other politically involved organizations ever poll their members before they hand over their dues to a candidate they support. Anyone know? Good question, Dominic. Someone ought to be all over that.
Yeah, and Kathy, he knows how to keep out of a can of worms. Yeah, we remember. It's effing Golden. He was on the other end of that phone call.
That's right.
Some people don't remember that.
Yeah, Pritzker was the one who was lobbying to make a big donation to Hairstyle Rod.
Yeah, good old Rod. We should do karaoke with him sometime, though. That would be fun. Anyway, okay. So a number of well-known artists and entertainers have donated to mayoral candidates. This is of note, I guess. It says King, if we know who these people are. It says King received contributions from artist Theaster Gates, $16,000, and actor Harry Lennox and his wife Gina Graves Lennox. Gina Graves Lennox?
Yeah, so Harry's a very well-known character actor. I'm trying to remember
Maybe
which.
If I saw him, I would recognize
So
him.
he played the general in Man of Steel, the African American.
Oh.
That's Harry Lennox. You've seen him everywhere. He co-starred. My God, one of his early films was The Package with Gene Hackman and Dennis Franz. I think that's probably his first on-screen appearances. But he's doing a TV show right now, and I'm not remembering the name of it.
Oh well, now I'm curious.
He's very involved here in Chicago, in the arts community.
That guy. Okay,
yeah. You got a picture of him?
All right. Yeah, hang on a second here.
He's actually on a short list of actors I've been trying to figure out how to get the script I'm developing in front of for a supporting role.
Let's see if I can get his website. He doesn't have a thing here. Here we go. This guy.
That's Harry Lennox, yeah.
I know that. Yeah, I recognize that guy. Okay.
Interesting choice, having his eyes closed on his website, but
yeah,
he's laughing.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. What's he done?
Let's see his recent TV show that I can't remember right now.
There we go. Man of Steel. Okay.
He was also the
Martian.
Was also the Martian Manhunter in Zack Snyder's Justice League at the end.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. He was in that. What's he doing?
The Blacklist.
The Blacklist.
That's it. With the other James Spader. I think that's James Spader's show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is. Okay. Okay. So, and then Susan Sarandon, we know who Susan Sarandon is. She gave $2,000 to Jamal.
And when he wins, they'll blame her for it. For her $2,000. They blame Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon. Yeah. I'm preemptively blaming Susan Sarandon for my upcoming defeat because I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to make it past the runoff. Greetings, citizens of the internet. Or whatever the hell this is. Oh, I like the transition back when I got the overlay on. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, so blaming Susan Sarandon, and what the hell was I talking about? I don't remember. Where am I?
I wonder if she knows where she is half the time.
All right, follow me on LinkedIn. Follow me. I couldn't even keep it straight. Follow me on LinkedIn because there's no way in hell I'm making it into the runoff.
Oh.
Garcia's campaign received $100,000 from Cardenas Marketing Network. Cardenas? Like
sounds familiar.
The alder person?
Probably.
I don't know. Which books shows for top Latin acts such as Bad Bunny and Mark Antony. Okay. All right. And then we got political football sports. Cam Buckner was a Did you know Cam Buckner was a defensive line?
I assumed he was a football player in a previous life because when I saw him at the Copernicus Center and was standing beside him, I was dwarfed. I mean, I'm not that tall or broad a guy, but I'm like, wow, this guy's got an intimidating physical presence as much of a big teddy bear as he is.
Yeah, so he was a defensive lineman for the Fighting Illini. That's cool. And his campaign pulled in $2,000 from another college football veteran, Luis Bertuca, who played at Lake Forest College. Bertuca served as an aide to former Governor Pat Quinn, who appointed him executive director of the Illinois Sports Facility Authority, a state body that provides oversight of guaranteed rate field. Okay, it says, still, Buckner didn't wrap up all the support from former football stars. Investor Brian Musso, once a receiver and punt returner from the Northwestern Wildcats, gave $20,000 to Vallis. Okay. Like father, not like son, Alderman Walter Burnett Jr. of the 27th, one of Lightfoot's leading city council allies, gave the mayor's campaign $10,000 from his own political fund. But Burnett's stepson, State Rep Jawahariel Omar Williams, did I say that? Jawahariel? Yeah, that was hard to say. Omar Williams donated $200 to Brandon Johnson. Burnett said Williams had not told him about his support for Johnson. He joked, I'm going to have a talk with him. Yeah? Well, maybe he should have a talk with you. Did you ever think of that, Walter Burnett Jr.? All right. I think the rest is just their top donor totals. Here you can head to the Block Club Chicago article that we have in the show notes and get all those things here. Let's see. Their top donor cash on hand was the column I wanted to look at. This column here. Because as of January 1st, because those totals that we read earlier, that's not all the cash they all have left. I think a number of these candidates have spent money on probably TV commercials, or radio commercials. So like Brandon Johnson, he started with 2.749 million, and he's got 1.327 million left as of January 1st. Chuy has about the same amount left for his cash on hand. Sophia King's got about half of what she started with, 229 grand, 230 grand ish. Jamal looks like he's strapped right now. He's only got as of January 1st, he only had 12,668. It's been a month. We don't know if he's collected any money since then. But that's going to make it hard for him to buy ads, I think, or at least a lot of them compared to the other candidates. Now, Cam Buckner is kind of in the same boat here. He's got 28,686 right now. So these guys started with quite a bit, but they've clearly spent money on something for their campaigns. Whether, I know they did some ads. I know Jamal has a couple ads. I don't know how many of them made it on television, but I've seen them on YouTube and he's posted them on his social media. So
I remember working on mayoral campaigns in previous cycles, and we would produce video and think, oh, they're going to raise the money to put it on TV, and they couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford media buys.
Yeah. So this is a challenge because if he's not getting on TV, especially in the week where people are starting to early vote, this is going to be a problem for him to get past the hump that he's trying to get past here. Because I think, honestly, and he's clearly in the last forum recognized that Brandon Johnson is the guy he has to get past in order to get anywhere for Jamal. So we don't know. We don't know what'll happen. I mean, we still don't was about 30,000 people, I think I heard, have already early voted since before they opened all the early voting stations. So people who mailed their ballots in or went to the 2 early voting sites before they opened the rest of them. So some people have already made up their mind. I'm wondering who they voted for.
I wish they could start. I guess I answered my own question, my own wish here. What I was about to say is I wish that they would, since they have early voting, start tabulating the votes now and sharing the results. But then I guess that could potentially also sway.
Yeah,
could it sway the election, or could it make people realize, oh shit, my candidate's not going to win? I better get my ass out and vote and mobilize other people.
I think releasing the results before all the votes are in is dangerous. Because so like you said, on one hand, it could get more people to come out and vote in total, but it's a panic vote, right? Yeah. You had people panic voting because they're like, oh, I got to get my buddies to all come up and vote for my guy because this guy's not going to win otherwise.
It's not a bad thing though, because then you get more people out to vote. Maybe that is what they ought to do.
I mean, maybe if they did like a Super Bowl halftime of voting kind of a thing, but then I kind of think primaries are supposed to be that anyway. So like, if you're giving away the results halfway through the primary voting, I think you're skewing the results. Anyway, yeah, but like we've said before, ranked choice voting would fix that. And we wouldn't need to go into a runoff. Yeah. But we don't have that right now.
Let's hear it for ranked choice voting, which we'll never get.
Yeah. So Jamal's got 12,600. Cam's got 28,600. Maybe they'll be able to run 1 or 2 strategically placed ads at the right time, at the right place, and get enough people watching. But I'm not holding my breath. Lightfoot, on the other hand, has money for days, and she's running all of it to slam Brandon Johnson or Paul Vallis, probably. I don't know if did she run? I think she probably ran an anti-Chuy ad as well. I think we saw one of those where she had one of her PACs go after his connections with FTX.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Is she delivering any more pizzas?
Did anybody order pepperoni? Sausage, Lori. Italian sausage. Come on. Look, I like pepperoni. Don't get me wrong. And pepperoni is definitely more affordable these days. If you're at the grocery store and you can't afford Italian sausage, pepperoni is a nice substitute.
What was she thinking delivering pepperoni pizza when we know how much she loves her sausage?
You dicks, what the fuck were you thinking? You make some kind of secret agreement with the Italians. You're out there measuring your dicks with the Italians, seeing who's got the biggest dicks. You're out there stroking your dicks over the Columbus statue. My dick is bigger than yours and the Italians. I have the biggest dick in Chicago.
Lori Lightfoot's Big Sausage Pizza.
Did they put those Columbus statues back, or are they keeping them on ice somewhere?
No, she's waiting. She'll that's probably a little secret weapon she's saving for another time.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the only way she'd get the support of the Italians. And I doubt they want to support her at this point. They're just mad. They'll probably all vote for Vallis just to spite her. Or they were probably going to anyway.
Yeah, that's not the only reason they're going to be voting for Vallis.
Speaking of,
he's a candidate.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Roderick Sawyer, 36,000. He's not going to be running too many ads either. I don't think Roderick Sawyer was really thinking that he wanted to get into this game other than for name recognition. Come on, Roderick. You should be dropping out for sure. I mean, you're not. I don't think you're helping anybody staying in this race. And Vallis, you gotta go, man. You live in Palos Heights. But he's got 1.148 million right now, so he's going to be running TV ads, scaring people about how, telling everybody how he's got business experience and he knows how to blah blah blah, and he supports the police and all this other stuff, and plus he's white.
All this other crap.
And then Willie is like, "Well, I'm not white, but I also support the police." And he's got 4 million left. He's got over 4 million left in his campaign funds. I mean, he's barely scratched the surface. He's probably got more signs out all over, like the lawn signs.
That's where all his money goes.
He's got more of those out than any other candidate, I think. I mean, I barely see anyone else putting signs up. I did see one Sawyer sign on the south side on my way home from work today, which I was shocked to see. I'm like, he's actually spending money on something? Sawyer? So yeah, so you guys are gonna see TV and radio ads from the 3 worst candidates. You just got to take them all with a giant pile of salt, not a grain, a giant pile of salt, and understand that all they're doing is just throwing mud at each other back and forth and hoping that the cleanest, least muddy candidate of the crappiest candidates wins. We don't want to play that game anymore. You deserve better, Chicago. All right.
Checking my email.
All right. We've been skipping around on these show notes here. I'm going to see if I missed anything. Okay.
Well,
we did you got some late breaking news, Jerry?
Corn dog cars. UFO landed on Michigan Avenue.
Are there more balloons?
Or breaking news from the Tribune. I mean, they're really milking this story. This came in at 7:30 tonight.
Seriously?
Yeah, from the Tribune. The saga of suspected Chinese spy balloons, or perhaps crafts visiting from much, much farther away, hovering in American airspace, drifted closer to homes over the weekend when federal aviation authorities temporarily closed air traffic over Lake Michigan so that fighter jets could shoot down a flying object. The Federal Aviation Administration confirmed that it temporarily shut down airspace over Lake Michigan Sunday to support the Department of Defense activities. This was like a 2-day-old story. I don't know why the Tribune's reporting on it again tonight. But are there more developments?
Maybe they fixed the typo.
No, I think that this is just a slow news day. It's probably what it is. Anyway, yeah. I thought I'd really quickly take a look at that. So anyway, back to the story.
I think we're done with the clown car for now. Let's get into environmental stuff.
It's gone for a while.
Okay. Basically, money is going to all the worst candidates. We don't want to vote for them. Let's pick somebody better, not just the person with the most money. Okay. City officials could have prevented botched Little Village smokestack implosion, according to full watchdog report. Our friend Heather Sharon, well, we like her to be our friend, but she's very popular with the stories that we cover.
Yeah.
She's covering this one for WTTW.
Good reporter.
Some of you may remember when this happened. This is a still image from a video taken from the demolition of the Crawford coal plant smokestack, April 11th, 2020. Chicago officials could have prevented a plume of dust from enveloping Little Village in the early days of COVID-19 pandemic by requiring the firms demolishing the former Crawford power plant to get a new permit before using explosives to bring down the smokestack, according to a confidential report by the city's watchdog obtained by WTTW. Mayor Lightfoot.
And who pays? Who's penalized? Who does a perp walk for this?
Mayor Lightfoot, who will
priorities.
Ask,
They didn't prioritize it because it wasn't a priority, because they don't care. They didn't care. How many people are sick and suffering now because of this gross abdication of duty in protecting the citizens in that ward?
And Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who in her previous campaign promised to bring in the light, who will ask Chicago voters to re-elect her in precisely 2 weeks, has repeatedly refused to make the report public, ignoring a resolution unanimously passed by Chicago City Council in July demanding its release. The 94-page report was completed by former Inspector General Joe Ferguson, good old Joe, on September 27, 2021, just weeks before he left office, after Lightfoot refused to reappoint him to a fourth four-year term in office. The report
because he investigates things like this and exposes shit like this.
Yeah, because he has integrity? Yes. The report determined that city officials put Little Village residents at risk when they allowed the smokestack demolition to proceed based on a permit issued in July 2018 that did not mention the use of explosives. At the same time, other officials did not do enough to ensure the implosion did not cause a massive dust storm, while others brushed off or downplayed concerns about whether the demolition should take place a month after the COVID-19 pandemic swept Chicago, according to the full report.
Because they didn't care, Ed. And you know what? If something horrible happens as a result of Norfolk Southern expanding their operations in Englewood, they'll do the same mea culpa. They had every opportunity. They have every opportunity right now to see how grossly unsafe this company is, but which, as you said earlier in the show, should force them to re-examine whether or not they want them to expand their activities in Englewood.
Yeah. And here is a comment from Brandon Johnson. He says, this report on the Hillco disaster is more proof that Chicago desperately deserves better than Lori Lightfoot. Chicagoans deserve a mayor who will prioritize the health and safety of our communities, not one who repeatedly lies, fails our families, and then engages in cover-ups. He's not wrong.
I resent the implications of that accusation, Commissioner Johnson.
Did I say resent? I meant resemble.
Good pickup.
Okay.
Good save.
WTTW News is not publishing the full unredacted report because it identifies by name those who provided information to the Office of the Inspector General, OIG, during the probe.
You don't want any political payback enacted against them.
Yeah. Ferguson declined to comment on the report's content Monday when reached by WTTW. After leaving office, Ferguson has repeatedly blasted Lightfoot as incompetent. A spokesperson for Lightfoot initially declined to comment on the full report obtained by WTTW, noting that Monday was a city holiday to mark President Lincoln's birthday. Okay. Whatever. Lightfoot has previously said her administration has taken the necessary steps to prevent another implosion from traumatizing a community and imperiling residents' health. My brain is trying to read things.
Little Village is primarily Hispanic, isn't it?
Yes.
Can we ask the question, why does Lori Lightfoot hate Hispanic people? It's a fair question.
Or why
she did nothing. She did nothing to protect them here.
Or why is she indifferent to them?
No. Why does Lori Lightfoot hate Hispanic people, Ed? This indifference. No. I'm sorry. That's not There's
Yeah,
no indifference
okay.
here. There's no
Well-
when people are dying, as Kathy's sharing here in the chat. At least one died from respiratory failure. Others are still suffering. That's not indifference. That's outright. I don't give a shit about these people, and I'm not going to do anything to protect them.
That's
To me,
kind of what I meant.
that kind of representation is contempt and hate.
Yeah, and
To me.
if Chuy had been more present in what was going on in Chicago, this is how he should be running. He should be running on this. He should be running on how she completely disregarded everyone's safety in Little Village, which is an area that he represents.
Yeah, he ought to hire you as a campaign advisor.
Yeah, well, it's too late, Chuy. Again. Too late again. Get your ass back to Congress and get money for the state.
Or if Arnold Schwarzenegger were here, get your ass to Congress.
Get your ass
back
to Congress.
Get your ass to Congress.
Yes.
Not get your ass to Mars.
Battling Schwarzenegger impressions. Bad ones.
Mine's
terrible. Mine's bad. Okay, 9:30. We are at the 2 hour.
You son of a bitch. Welcome to the party.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
is there anything else in this story?
I think we need to just kind of make the point and move on.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything else worth saying from this article. Okay, it was unacceptable.
Well,
it was negligent.
Yeah.
Inspector General Deborah Witzberg says confidential documents should not be publicly released.
The point's been made. The Inspector General basically exposed gross incompetence, which sadly should be no surprise. And that leads into the next story, that polluters like Southeast Side Plant often get a pass on air quality violations in Chicago. More of the same. Time to move into that connection, that transition.
Yes. So here we are with Sun
Because
Times.
we want to get to the Norfolk Southern connection as soon as
yes, we do. Okay, fewer than half of all citations written by Chicago City health inspectors in recent years for air pollution end up sticking, records show. That's left neighbors of polluters unhappy. Anna Johnson used to garden in the backyard of a South Deering home, but smells from a nearby plant at 100th and Torrance that processes vegetable oil for ingredients in animal feed overpower her. It burns my nose. It burns my eyes, says Johnson, who describes the stench as something akin to feces or a rotting corpse. That's descriptive. Whew. Other neighbors say the odor from Pullman Innovations is like the smell of rotten eggs. After getting complaints from people who live nearby, city inspectors came out, and the health department slapped the business with more than a dozen tickets in 2020 that accused it of polluting the air and being a nuisance. Almost 2 years later, Pullman agreed to pay $12,000 in fines without admitting doing anything wrong in terms of air pollution.
Why? Oh my God. We don't have to admit it.
Yeah.
We'll pay a quick fine and we'll keep doing it.
The fines came to less than 1/3 of what the company would have faced if those pollution violations had stuck. City Hall didn't require the company to do anything to control the odors.
Why would they have to do anything to control the orders if they didn't admit any responsibility? It's not them.
It's definitely a breakdown.
Take the money. Ka-ching. Thank you. Please drive through.
People feel defeated, Marie Collins Wright, Johnson's friend and neighbor, says of the outcome. The Pullman case isn't unusual. Chicago businesses cited by city inspectors for air pollution sometimes spend a year or longer going through City Hall's administrative process, and in the end seeing the air pollution citations dropped and the fines reduced. Records examined by the Chicago Sun-Times show. In some cases, the businesses end up being given a pass on additional tickets for new violations as they negotiate with Chicago officials. Okay. Among the companies in recent years to successfully get the city to drop air pollution citations include Scrap Metal Operations, Sims Metal Management, and Pilsen.
Sounds familiar.
General Iron, which operated for decades in Lincoln Park, and Reliable Asphalt in Austin. Matt Asphalt
The worst.
McKinley Park fought air pollution charges in city administrative hearings, lost its case, and is now appealing in state court. From 2018 through 2022, there were 69 air pollution citations issued by the city's public health department. Of that numbers, 39 were dropped and 29 were found to be liable, mostly after pleas of admission from the businesses. One case, another ticket for Matt, is pending. A number of the businesses cited are in low-income communities of color and near other industrial operations. These plants historically have operated in the same parts of the city. Mayor Lori Lightfoot has said she'll address pollution plague in these neighborhoods. When? You've been saying that forever. You've been doing nothing.
She's busy filing her nails, Ed. Yeah. Come on, give her a break. She's got to finish filing her nails.
Yeah. Lax enforcement and low penalties have been and continue to be a key part of how polluters escape responsibility for dirtying the air in Chicago's low-income communities of color, says Malia Gersma, a senior attorney with the National Resources Defense Council, an advocacy group. The air pollution data and records were compiled by Anthony Moser, a member of the McKinley Park organization Neighbors for Environmental Justice. Yeah, we post his tweets from time to time. He's got some good ones. Anthony Moser. The Sun-Times examination focused on the city's primary air pollution law, which previously carried a fine of up to $5,000 for each violation. In January 2021, the city council substantially increased the potential penalties, doubling the maximum for a first offense and allowing for fines up to $20,000 for subsequent violations. If City Hall finds the violation particularly egregious, the fine could be as high as $50,000. Asked about the data, city health officials say that even though tickets for multiple violations are often given to businesses, those accusations sometimes overlap. They say that's why City Hall sometimes agrees to let a business admit responsibility for a nuisance violation and drop air pollution citations.
Wow, that does a lot of good.
Where it might appear that the health department chose to knock down or drop tickets, this was in fact a determination that the counts were duplicative and based on the same underlying incident. Okay, so like half a dozen people complaining about the same thing. All right, I can understand that, I guess. It says we could not pursue separate penalties for each violation. All right, but clearly if if half a dozen or whatever people are complaining about it, it's a serious issue.
This is such a crock of shit.
Yeah. City inspectors are often called out to sites for businesses that already have unresolved tickets. While inspectors flag new problems, they also have noted in dozens of instances in recent years that enforcement action is already pending for these issues, records show. And inspectors' concerns don't always result in a ticket.
Blowjob! Blowjob!
Days after
I love John Vernon's face at the end of that.
What?
What? That's what he said? That's what they said?
Days after the February 2022 settlement with Pullman Innovations, a city inspector was back at the plant, again investigating complaints of foul odors, and agreed. Strong odors of sour, rotten eggs similar to a vomit odor was observed. That's nasty.
It is, yeah.
The inspector wrote in a report, "This odor was very uncomfortable to inhale as it instantly made me nauseous and made me want to vomit." But the inspector didn't write a ticket for that. Last month, the company pleaded liable to another pollution citation issued last year. Neighbors say they don't understand why the city doesn't go after Pullman Innovations harder. Mike Oganovich thought the plant's change in ownership in 2016 would make a difference. The previous owner, Agrifine, had racked up multiple violations and was sued by then Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan. "We've been fighting them for many years," Oganovich says. "We're part of the city that's forgotten."
Exactly. And there you have it. That Move on. That's the problem, right there. Time. It's time. Or when is it time?
Let your transition go!
I'd say it's time.
Yeah. So apparently this plant produces an ingredient used for chicken feed at the Dutch that are used at the chicken farms where they have Dutch farms eggs. So that is I mean that's a huge industry right now, eggs. If those chickens are healthy, those eggs are expensive.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, the pollution required to make an ingredient for chicken feed, I mean, they gotta do something about that. Although it says the managing director of Pullman Global says some odor controls have been put in place and more are coming. I guess we'll see it when it happens. But the city should be a watchdog on that. They should be on top of these types of things. They shouldn't be just waiting for residents to complain and then just throwing fines at them.
Yeah. With nothing changing.
You know, don't we have lawyers, attorney generals?
Oh yeah, they're there just to make sure to protect the city's interests with putting up traffic cameras and figuring out more creative ways to fleece residents who live here.
Yeah, so clearly they're doing the math and deciding that, well, it's more important that these guys keep churning out eggs than for us to deal with the pollution complaints.
Dominic shares once fined, the business must correct the problem within 1 week or the plant will be shut down by the police department. Those fined can then ask the city for their day in court. Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, although unless they're getting kickbacks in eggs, in which case maybe the shutdowns don't have to happen.
Or chicken wings.
Yeah. Where did those wings go, Jerry?
I know.
All right. Let's wrap this up. They're complaining about all these things are happening. Pollution is happening everywhere in the city. We've talked about this in the past.
Yep.
People are complaining. Fines are happening, but not enough is happening to actually make some change.
So, polluters like Southeast Side Plant get a pass on the air quality violations in Chicago was the name of the headline. Pretty soon, I would imagine that as we transition into our next story, Norfolk Southern will be getting a pass after they expand here and potentially end up. Well, go ahead, Ed. You open the story.
Yeah. Well, 13 days ago,
we reported on this.
13 days ago, Alderman Jeanette Taylor.
I should give correct attribution. Block Club Chicago reported on this. We shared it.
We shared it, yes. After months of pushback, Alderman Jeanette Taylor said she voted yes on the ordinance because the railway agreed to the community's hiring terms. This happened 3 days. 3 days, Jerry. It happened 3 days before this.
Norfolk Southern. That's an example of Norfolk Southern's good work.
So we're basically, I mean, yeah, this is national news and this happened in another state, but this is Norfolk Southern.
That's the company.
A train derailed in Ohio, East Palestine, Ohio. They're finally covering this on some of the major news channels. They sort of covered it last week, but they've been really glossing over how bad this is. They had trains carrying dangerous chemicals, and they derailed in Ohio. And the company or the railroad management company or whoever was managing the situation thought that the best idea was to, instead of trying to contain the spill, was to just burn it all.
Yeah. And meanwhile,
which, clear, and they had to evacuate the town and general
Let's put it all
vicinity
off.
around there.
And where's our transportation secretary who's supposed to have his finger on what's going on with the railways and what happens afterwards? That is a transportation issue. There he is with his little bicycle hat.
Pete Buttigieg, he didn't even mention this thing for 10 days, and then he let off this super weak tweet about how they're monitoring the situation.
Yeah.
No, dude, that's not
while planning to run again on his identity next election time to see how he can advance himself. When anybody who had a brain in their head could see how he completely mismanaged being mayor in South Bend, Indiana. Now he's got the cushy transportation job where he can take months off maternity leave with his partner to raise a child that they adopt, and then this shit happens.
So this is a story from WGN via News Nation, and you guys may remember that I think a News Nation reporter was in Ohio trying to cover the governor of Ohio talking about this derailment when he got accosted by officers and arrested for no reason.
Well, the reason was he was asking too many logical questions.
Yeah,
he was asking for accountability is what he was asking for. And you know what? In today's day and age, whether you're a reporter or a whistleblower, can't have that. Can't have that. Can't question authority.
We need to
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Which Ed just did.
I know you didn't hear me, but...
No, but I could see you. We saw the tail end of you doing it. It was great. I wish there was a way to run that video without disrupting our frames, but
we probably have to do it in a Chrome tab.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, News Nation's covered this story. It says the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency told residents near the toxic train derailment in eastern Ohio that it is safe to return home, but some are alarmed and have concern as fish in local bodies of water are dying. Yeah, or
sounds safe to me. And pretty soon you're going to start seeing the three-headed fish in those same streams.
Yeah, well, actually, those are kind of cool. But anyway, yeah. So when they burn those chemicals that we're spilling, they create this toxic gas cloud that basically is acid rain. It's
and it carries in the atmosphere. It drifts,
and it's cancerous.
In Ohio, it's going to go elsewhere and create more acid rain, and it's like spreading a virus. It's spreading an ecological virus when that toxic rain starts coming down elsewhere.
I just saw there was this movie on Netflix where Adam Driver's in it called White Noise. I think I told you about it. I said you should watch this thing because it's like the first half of the movie is almost identical to this situation.
Wow. Okay.
It's like people are informed about a giant toxic cloud, and then they're made to evacuate and travel, and they don't know when they're going to go home or anything. It's just. It's kind of a surreal movie, and it's real weird and existential in places. But the front end, it's like you watch this movie and you're like, oh my God, it's like the plot of this movie. It's like this whole thing.
Didn't you share with me also? I think you shared with me in the Slack earlier today. It hasn't Jeanette Taylor.
Jeanette Taylor, Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor is in the hospital right now. I guess she's dealing with some breathing difficulties, asthma type symptoms, and we don't know why.
Well, we don't know why, but what can trigger asthma? I'm an asthma patient.
Well, I mean, we can speculate a number of respiratory ailments could be doing that, but anything that really irritates or affects your lungs could be causing breathing difficulties. And for certain, something like an airborne toxic cloud could be doing it.
Pollution, local pollution, local bad air in the ward that you live in and legislate in.
Yeah. So she read the riot act to city council, but then she basically acquiesced and voted yes. But I'm saying they need to do a do-over in city council after this has arisen, because literally 3 days before this happened is when they passed that ordinance thing.
Yeah. It's like poetry. It all rhymes, as George Lucas likes to say. Look, my sympathies go to the alderwoman. But we can speculate. We can also assume. I know what triggers my asthma is environmental circumstances, pollens, dust, things in the air are what trigger asthma. Yeah. And, she could have all kinds of other comorbidities that relate to her respiratory situation. But if you're not living in a place with clean air, it's just going to exacerbate it. And the fact that she backpedaled so that we could do business with Norfolk Southern after they just demonstrated how completely irresponsible and unsafe and deadly they are in Ohio by deciding to burn off, that's the solution to the spill, is to burn off the toxins to go into the air and spread it everywhere else.
Yeah, so here it is. I mean, they were trying to justify it on the early news reports that I was looking through to try and just from the regular networks. And here in the article, they're doing it again here. It says, they said that burn was preferable to the threat of a larger explosion if nothing was done. So they're basically saying, well, it could explode on its own. So instead, we decided to explode it for ourselves. That doesn't make any sense.
And then spread it everywhere else.
I mean, controlled burn. This isn't like you're trying to head off like a forest fire.
Yeah.
This is a giant chemical fire cloud that you've created.
And I was reading that the way it's going to impact surrounding states, farmers, and ecology elsewhere, it's like a virus that's spreading through the air that's going to infect our ecology.
Well, and our environment. It's definitely not going to be good for nature, for the animals.
No, that's ecology and environment. That's what
yeah.
Same thing, Ed.
And it's also going to hurt the animals and the plants.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I'm just it's infuriating because you see this story and most of the news is still downplaying how bad this is.
Yeah.
Someone
you know why? Do you know why they're downplaying it though, Ed? Why do you think they're downplaying it? It would look really, really bad for the Democrats.
Yeah.
Who are in charge of things, especially this knucklehead here on his bicycle, who's supposed to be in charge of transportation, which is supposed to basically supervise railways.
Yeah, and we should probably also remind everybody that that Congress stopped the railroad workers unions from being able to strike because of bad conditions, and also because they needed time off. Now
the chickens just came home to roost on this one.
Now we're not, and I was reading some stories where they're trying to see in some way shift the blame to the railroad workers on this. No, this is the rail carriers.
And if the railway, if some overworked railway worker, Ed, worker or workers were responsible for this, it's because they aren't getting proper amount of time off, or dare I say, if they sick leave to take care of themselves because they're worked to death.
Yeah, and then there's another argument going around that there was some deregulation that happened under Trump, and so they're trying to lay it all on him. This is not a red versus blue thing. This is a corporations versus the rest of us thing.
Yep.
And so what happened is, if it hadn't been Trump in charge, it would have been another president that would have let this garbage go on, because they're glad handing the railroad carriers and instead of forcing them to make the upgrades that they needed to make, like the modern braking systems that were not present in the cars that derailed.
You look anywhere else in the world at railway systems, Ed, and we're in the dark ages over here. Whether it's high-speed rail or the braking systems you just mentioned for safety.
Yeah. So I just, I'm like, okay, so we got to revisit Chicago City Council. You guys And I know Jeanette Taylor, you're in the hospital, but once you're feeling better, I would get back in there and bring this back up again.
This is a fucking rallying cry to protect Chicago from these vultures, these corporate vultures who constantly get away with this shit at the expense and peril of people, innocent people.
And I would definitely
these poor people in Ohio.
It's not like you're not gonna be alone once you get in there. Yeah, there are other older people who are gonna get your back on this. And if they don't, they need to lose their elections.
And if they don't, and if it happens, we've just seen. And there was another derailment in Texas, another toxic spill in Texas, a week later. Now, it's ironic that it happened a week later. Some people on social media say, well, we're only hearing, they're talking about what it happens all too much. It's all too commonplace that, there's attention on Texas. You know what? It's too common. If it happens more often than we know because of the situation in Ohio, that is like, mini Chernobyl here in the United States, then news agencies have to report on it more so that it doesn't escalate to a situation where this kind of a disaster can happen. If this happens that often and we haven't heard about it in the past, which is why suddenly, they're focusing on Texas because of what happened in Ohio, then I would say news media organizations were not doing their jobs and reporting on this more often to potentially prevent something like this from happening. I don't think that news organizations have been negligent in their responsibilities reporting on this stuff. I think what happened in Texas is like a horrible, horrible coincidence that it happened so quickly afterwards. But it certainly does magnify the fact we got a big problem here, and this can't keep happening.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to take that down. Okay. So that story's done. Save the environment, please. What's left of it? What we got updates. That's what we have. Okay. So let's share that one. 500 a month, no strings. Chicago experiments with the guaranteed income. Yes.
Oh, now she's is this from who's proposing?
This is rehashed from the New York Times. So guess who this is going to be a low key promotion for? Team Lori.
Yeah.
It says Christopher Ellingson's Southside Photography Studio crashed in 2020 with the onset of the pandemic. By 2021, he was scraping by in a tax preparation financial advice business when gunshots rang out one day as he was leaving work. 2 bullets from a drive-by shooter pierced his head and left him permanently blind. Wow. Okay, this guy had some bad luck.
Yeah.
Creditors were closing in, the recent notices piling up, and then a helping hand came late last summer from Mayor Lori Lightfoot's administration. Yep, you can put the superhero overlay back up there. Yeah, the Roner Destroyer swoops in with $500 checks. Was not her idea, okay? There were other aldermen who came up with this idea, and then she just swooped up and did her own version of it because she was flagging in the polls.
I resent your accusations, sir. I was completely responsible for this, and I deserve all credit.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You will stop speaking. You will stop speaking. You're full of crap, and that's the nicest thing that I can say.
Okay, I'm somewhat full of crap, but right now we're just going to talk about how basic income or supplemental income checks with no strings is actually a really good thing. And it's just, it's working in spite of her, not because of her. These are things that more people should get. It's basic income, and it really should be federally funded, because with federal dollars, we don't actually have to worry about how to pay for that. So, and someday down the road, we may find that a lot of people are going to get federal basic income supplements to supplement their income when they decide that there's no other way for people to make ends meet when their wages are stagnating. But here we are, basically with a puff piece, trying to say how how Lori did this great thing, and hey, it's working, and people are getting help. Cool. It's cool. We just had, I think nationally, Nikki Haley just announced she was going to be running for president on the Republican side. And she recently posted some dumb thing about how she didn't want people getting handouts. And I'm like, you dimwit, you have no idea how federal spending works. And you want to run for president. We should be getting freebies. Stop using your bootstrap brain for everything and understand that the government exists for us. It's not there to keep us from getting the things that we need. You guys remember that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness thing in the preamble of the Constitution? Remember that? That's what the framers wanted for us. They didn't want us to struggle. They wanted us all to have decent, good lives without having to, work 700 jobs in order to have a roof over our head and pay for health insurance instead of getting health care. I'll get off my soapbox now, though. Hopefully you all heard that and I didn't get stream jacked. Yes, Kathy, beans are expensive. I don't know why she said that beans. Why are we talking about beans?
I don't know.
Why are we talking about beans? I know it's 10 o'clock. And I think this show is no longer amounting to a hill of beans because we're out of things to talk about for the most part. Other than a couple more updates, we talked about Conway deciding he is not going to debate Jim Ascot, but we will have him on Friday, it sounds like. So that's cool. They were going to move hundreds of migrants into a vacant Kmart on the southwest side, but it turns out that they're actually rethinking that now. So we'll wait until we get another update before we talk about that story. The Little Village Discount Mall, where a lot of local vendors are, they actually they reached some deal updates on that. Here we go, from Block Club. Little Village Discount Mall will remain open as long-term lease deal reached. Many vendors will be allowed to stay after much uncertainty, but the discount mall could be facing a reduction in size. The plaza will undergo renovations this spring. So sort of good news, because I guess the owner of the land was going to tear it down and use it for something else, but they extended their lease for 10 years with 3 5-year options. But I guess there are basically two main companies leasing the property and then releasing or reselling it through the different vendors at the discount mall in Little Village. So they have, I guess they're going to redesign some of it, but it's at least good news that the vendors will be able to stay instead of getting kicked out at the end of the previous lease. So that's a good little update there. You guys can read that. I got that story's in the show notes too, if you guys want to read that story. And finally, or is that finally? I will go second to finally. Bruce Springsteen's playing Wrigley Field this summer.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive, and I guess tickets go on sale Friday. And finally.
Chicago getting some national attention. 2 Chicago pizzerias were part of Good Morning America's United States of Pizza competition this morning.
And the judges taste tested George's deep dish on North Clark and Millie's Pizza in the pan on Argyle. Greg Dutra was the lucky guy who got to be there for it all.
It just wrapped up on Good Morning America. The judges gave their final decision on which local pizza place, George's Deep Dish or Millie's Pizza in a Pan, which one will represent Chicago when they go to New York and try and win best pizza in the United States. Let's take.
Okay, first of all, the competition's in New York, so it's already rigged against us. So I really don't care who wins when they go over there, but it's kind of nice to be recognized. And second of all, I've had Millie's before he actually had the brick and mortar, when he was still a ghost kitchen, and it was great, good stuff. Similar to the Pequod style with the caramelized crust. And then George's I want to try, because that guy uses a sourdough. He ferments sourdough for a couple days with his dough, so it's something special. And so he's doing something close, but not quite the same.
Let's take a look at the judges' results.
So it's time to see who will take the golden pizza cutter here in Chicago and advance to our final round. Okay, Chuy, you're up first. So who do we got? Who did you pick?
I think they were both incredible. Hotheads, deep.
Okay, Chef Bayless, who gets your vote?
Oh, they're both so good. They're so different.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to go.
Bayless goes for Millie's.
Really on.
Honestly.
All right, who do you think is going to be?
I bet it's New York.
No, these are both Chicago right now.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's George's or Millie's.
Play it again. I got distracted by something.
It's okay. She's about to pick the third one here. We got one vote for George's and one vote for Millie's so far. So we're trying to figure out who's gonna. The difference between the pizzas. See, did they have a picture between the? They may have a close up later. Yeah, we'll have a close up in a bit.
Good, but I think I'm gonna go.
Okay, Millie's. Millie's pulls it out.
That's what she said.
Incredible. I feel completely honored to be here right now.
I've never
What
heard
do you
of
think?
Millie's
Are you going
Pizza.
to do the same pie when you go to New York?
Yeah, so like I said, this guy started out as a ghost kitchen. He was during the pandemic lockdown. A lot of people started getting creative with what they wanted to do with their lives, and this guy liked making pizza like I do, and he decided to start selling them out of basically a shared kitchen. And then he would have people pick up either at like outside the shared kitchen or at a designated spot. And I had him deliver one to me a couple times. Good stuff. And then I guess it got to the point where he was doing so well doing this, he actually got an actual restaurant. He opened a restaurant up. So he's got a place where people can actually go there and order now, which is pretty cool. It's a little, that's a positive restaurant news in the city of Chicago. With when you hear all these stories about these places having to close down, this guy actually went the opposite direction, and he's doing okay. So and then George's I think is a similar story, and he's actually up near you.
What's the game plan?
Yeah, I love pepperoni on my pizza with the whipped ricotta, pepperdew peppers. It's a great.
So that's a Millie's. You can see the caramelized crust on the outside there, and then and this guy likes to do like a bunch of sauce in there. He's got a really saucy pizza, but it's delicious.
Great combo.
What do you think took the cake from the judges?
That's got to be the balance of flavors and the caramelized crust, obviously.
Well, there you have it. Local Chicago business going to New York, representing us on the world stage for United States of Pizza.
Okay, we're done.
All right.
So yeah, that does look good, Uncle Warren. And that's the caramelized crust style I call the quad. If you guys want to try to make that style at home, you could head to realdeepdish.com, and there is a recipe for that with instructions. That's one of the pizza styles that you want to have very good ventilation. You open your windows. If you got an extra fan to blow the smoke out from your oven, you want to do that. But totally worth it if you can pull that style off. And it sometimes takes a little practice, but when it's good, it's really good. Uncle Warren was also talking about the sourdough. Maybe I should mail you some of my sourdough starter. But those are sourdough starters are like pets. You got to keep feeding them. And you got to, you discard that stuff and make pancakes, or you can use that stuff and make bread every day. But it's like, how often, I mean, unless you're like a regular baker baking every day, it's hard to keep taking care of a sourdough starter. So I don't have an over. What does he mean?
Oven.
Oh, no, oven. Okay.
I think he means oven.
He doesn't have an oven. Okay. Well, you should get a toaster oven, Uncle Warren. Get one so you can fit a little cake pan in it, and then you can make little deep dishes in it. Okay. With that said, I think that's all the stories for this evening.
Looks like it.
Is there anything? Yeah. I should ask Jerry if you have any final closing words or any websites you want to share.
No, I'm sorry. I just got distracted because I have a website for a product I sell, my Easy Walk pads, and I was just notified by Wix that after doing business with them for 3-4 years, they just suspended my account because I have to prove to them my EIN number, our business EIN number. I need to send them an EIN confirmation notice, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Oh, I have to go contact the IRS and get a notice. An official registration notice to share with them so that they reinstate my account. I'm just like, after 4 years, now you want this? Whatever. But please look at our website, easywalkpads.com, if you need better support for your cane or crutches. It's always some fucking thing, Ed. Always.
Well, and double check to make sure it's actually from Wix and not someone trying to scam you out of your EIN number.
No. That was my first thought. But it's from Wix. Just like, why now? You confirmed and authorized our account years ago. Why do I suddenly have to reconfirm this? And I've got to go get a new document to resubmit to you people. Whatever, man. Anyway, that's all I got. And I'm really I'm a little hangry because I haven't eaten and I'm hungry. So,
oh yeah, you should go eat.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's all I got. Good show. We covered a lot of ground tonight. It was important stories, especially those follow-ups with what happened in Ohio, and a cautionary tale for what we can avoid here in Chicago with this railroad that just can barrel in anywhere and do what the fuck they want with no accountability. I wonder what the fallout is going to, well, no pun intended, is going to be from this horrible environmental disaster in Ohio.
I think sadly it's going to be a lot of people getting cancer.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. And
other states are going to suffer as well.
Yeah. And the environmental damage, we don't even know how bad that's going to be until the long-term effects come out, but it's bad right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just checking over on the Rockfin chat. I want to thank Uncle Warren for checking in over there as well. Thank Denver Adaway for watching over on Rockfin.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everyone for watching us on the Facebook and the Twitter and the maybe Jerry's LinkedIn if he's got it hooked up. And
we get a few views there, although I don't see a lot of
yeah, and all you lovely people over here on the YouTubes, where I see in the chat all the we got our Lioness Den friend. Uncle Warren, Arturo, Kathy Powers. I see who else? Miguel H was with us this evening, and independentvoterparty.org. That was Dominic.
Yep.
Thank you, Dominic. And I think that was it. Thank you, everyone else who didn't post in the chat for watching. Thank you, everyone, for watching us after the live stream was over. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please share the stream if you're watching us live. Please subscribe to the channel, even if you're not going to watch us every time. The more subscribers we have, the better off our channel will perform, and the more people will get to see it. So, I mean, we hope that you'll watch us, but we know sometimes we get weird and go off the rails. I know I do. But we're happy that you joined us this evening, and we hope you'll come back and watch us on Friday when Jerry's driving the bus again.
Is that what you were waiting for?
Fuck this noise, man.
All right. So good night, everybody. Have a pleasant tomorrow. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Stay hydrated. Please stay hydrated. You have no idea how important that is. Get as much sleep as you can. That's really important. I'm on vapors right now, Jerry, just because I didn't get my full 8 hours last night.
I get plenty of sleep over here. It's luckily I have a freelancer's life where I can like sleep when I'm not, I don't always have a client I'm working with. So, but yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Get as much sleep as you can. Steal it where you can.
So again, take care. Join us Friday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time.
And we'll have Jim Ascott back to talk about these issues with his opponent, Bill Conway.
Yep. So
in the 34th Ward.
So see you then. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.